Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you're doing well thus far. My name is Tyler Bay, in case we haven't met. And today we'll be talking about how much should I ask for. And so this is a continuation of a video I did, I think, a couple wrangles ago, where we were talking about the price of living somewhere. So I gave the example of LA, figuring out how much rent costs, figuring out taxes, food, et cetera, all in the name of figuring out how to create a good, healthy base goal for what you would like to eventually ask a studio or as a freelancer. And so this is part two. We're going to switch things up a little bit, get a bit more philosophical. And this one has to do with self-respect. So without further ado, check out this video. And if you have any thoughts or questions along the way, always feel free to let me know, and I'll have a bit of time towards the end where I address that. So let's check it out. So in part one of this series of what should I ask for, we talked about having a specific goal in mind, which is relative to the cost of living of whatever city you're trying to live in. So this goal does not have to be, let's say, the price that a junior gets, but it's the price that you want to be at eventually when it comes to making a decent living in a particular area. Now, this part two here is going to deal with something that's a bit more philosophical and less practical in nature. And the gist of it is this. The gist is that you need to have self-respect, self-confidence, and the ability to let gigs go if it doesn't end up being a good deal. So this brings us to takeaway number one. Respect your goals. We talked about establishing goals in the last video, but to actually respect your goals is something that people don't really think about a whole lot. It's tied into how you respect yourself, the nature of respect, and it also goes into, in my opinion, the things that you tell yourself on a day-to-day basis. So let me give you an example, okay? Let's say that you're somebody who does not respect your goals. Here's what this might look like. You could be the person who tells yourself, you know what? VFX animation industry, it's super hard. People are always going to be trying to price gouge you. They're always going to be outsourcing. The studios find people expendable all day, every day. And it's just something that, is very difficult to crawl up from the ranks. It's almost like this narrative of fatalism, like nothing is ever, going to be better because we're just doomed into this state of oppression by the people above us, right? There's plenty of people who tell themselves this particular narrative every single day. And you know who this benefits? The people who hire you. You know why it benefits them? Because every single time you tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you have to, be in a begging position compared to your employer, every single time you tell yourself, you're kind of wearing away that respect towards yourself and that respect towards actually believing that your goals are possible. And so probably one of the biggest reasons why people don't get promotions or people don't, get raises or they don't improve their situation is because they never ask for it. If they get beat down enough and they keep telling themselves this whole narrative of, things are rough, I just have to, beg and plead, and, that's just how the world is. The more you tell yourself that, the less you actually are respecting your goals and the less likely it's ever going to happen because you never asked for it in the first place. You never truly believe that it's fair, and so you never go there. And you try to be nice to your employer. You try to be this and that, but it's really not being nice. It's really more just you not having self-respect. And so I know many of you might be thinking, okay, but I can't just be naive either. You can't just, fake respect. Respect is something that you just either have for something or you don't. And so how can I have respect for myself, for my goals, when I authentically believe that I'm being oppressed, or I authentically believe that these things may be impossible or not really attainable? And the answer is that you might find real justifications for your situation. You might be right. People might be oppressing you. You might be right. People might be screwing you over or, doing this and that to justify how you feel. But it's always possible to paint your own picture. It's always possible to go out there, envision something better, maybe envision some sort of win-win situation with a potential future employer, and to try to make those visions happen. But it starts with you taking initiative. It means that you have to place your vision above that which oppresses you. And so if you want to authentically respect yourself, you have to put that vision, those goals above everything else so that the other things can't break you down. Takeaway number 2, no gig is ever better than you, and so you should never be afraid of not getting a gig. So this is something that a lot of folks run into at some point. Let's say you have a family and you don't want to lose your job. Just the thought of you losing your security, your job, that consistency is so terrifying to you that you never reach for anything better. A lot of people are in that situation, and you know why that's not cool? It's not cool because they're not reaching their full potential. It's not cool because they're not showing themselves self-respect. And it's also not cool because you fear something that doesn't really exist. And here's what I mean by you fear something that doesn't really exist. If you're somebody who's really competent, okay? You're somebody who works hard, who, again, tries to work nicely with other people. If you offer something that's really valuable to a company or to anyone, there's something you can figure out if this particular gig doesn't work out. As an example, I got offered at one point 50,000 Canadian to go work up in Vancouver for Animal Logic. I told him no. I told him no because 50,000 Canadian in Vancouver isn't enough to even buy food, okay? They offered me such a lowball price that it was borderline offensive, considering the fact that, I offered them something, or I could have offered them something that is worth far more than 50,000 Canadian for their projects, right? And in the back of my mind, when I told them no, I was also telling myself, hey, you know what? If I don't have a job for a period of time, I'm going to make it work out. I might have to go work a blue collar job for a little bit, maybe do some landscaping, might have to, go find a factory job somewhere for a period of time and maybe work on my demo reel at night. But I'm not going to show myself that level of disrespect. I'm not going to sacrifice my self-respect just because I think this gig is better than me. It's not going to happen. No. And so don't be the person who gets bullied by big productions or big corporations or whatever it is, and don't be somebody who fears not getting a gig. Because if you're somebody who fears that, then you're not going to ask for enough money. You're going to get lowballed and you're going to take it. And also, you're somebody who is going to be insecure in your goals. And again, it's not really respecting your goals either, because that fear overrides any respect you have for yourself. And that's not cool. You'll never, ever have a successful career if you stay in that mindset. So don't do it. Takeaway number 3. It's all about envisioning a win-win situation. That means understanding what that looks like for you as well as the other person. And so this isn't about how much money can I possibly get away with when it comes to asking my employer for something. That's not what this is about. This is about you figuring out what you can offer them at a fair price, giving living conditions, and in return, meeting your goals, which have been set in something that's realistic and isn't just a product of your own particular greed or your own particular, insanity, right? So in other words, I'm not saying just go for, $500,000 right off the bat for a junior role. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying figure out what it is you're actually offering the employer. What does that mean in very specific terms? Because those become your talking points during the interview, by the way. And then understanding what you would like in return. So that the better you can envision or get your head wrapped around the situation that you want to happen and all the factors at play, the more confident you're going to be walking into that interview, telling them what you offer them, all the different angles that you can think of, and then in return, asking for them to make sacrifices for you in meeting your goals. That's what this should all be about. It should be about win-win situations, and it is absolutely possible. So don't be cynical. It's not going to help you. And again, stay true to that vision. Hold on to it. Try to really understand what it is you offer other people. Always be refining your skills so that that offering can expand. And then you can go out there and make good business with other people, and everyone walks away happy. So this wraps up today's video, and there you have it. Okay, so that about does it for the main portion of the lecture. I'm going to be hanging out here if you guys have any comments you want me to bounce off of, or questions of this or that. Sorry about the echo there earlier. I saw that you mentioned J3 Productions. You mentioned that there was an echo going on. Sometimes I have this microphone here and I have my own monitor and it kind of does a little feedback thing. But hopefully that's all fixed up. As I was watching that too, I was thinking about something from the employer's perspective as well that's kind of interesting. And it looks like this. If you're an employer who is interviewing somebody who's not asking for enough, it's kind of a red flag, because it could be an indication that that person doesn't really respect themselves enough. And if that other person doesn't really respect themselves enough, then that also means they're the kind of person that might be somebody who is about to be really cynical about their job, about their life, who might bring negativity to the team because the situation that's being set up is not a healthy one. And so I think there is also just a really big incentive for employers to facilitate this healthier gig, this healthier situation. And that's really important to think about too, if you're somebody who's hiring at any point. Anyway, yeah, Asala Deshawn, you can absolutely ask a question. I'm just kind of hanging out here, talking a bit. But yeah, I mean, if you think about from the employer's perspective, it's very possible for you to lose out on a gig just because you didn't ask for enough, because maybe you came off as somebody that wasn't confident enough in themselves. So that's kind of a crazy thing, right? You might think, okay, I'm more likely to get this gig because I'm asking for less. But for the healthier studios, for the healthier teams, they want you to ask for a healthy price so that you don't feel like you're being taken advantage of down the road and causing a negative vibe for the rest of the team. So anyway, it's just something interesting to think about. Okay, so this one here comes from J3 Productions. How would you deal with employers threatening replacing midway through the job? Well, first of all, it just doesn't sound like that's a balanced situation. Ideally, if you think about the relationship from employee to employer, that ought to be something where, again, there's a win-win happening. It's not like I own you and I'm going to, threaten or bully you to do what I want. That's not a balanced relationship. So if the employer threatens to do that, well, then great, let them do that. What's the loss to you? I mean, I wouldn't encourage that. I would try to see if it's possible maybe to work things out in a more healthy way. But it kind of sounds like that employer is trying to bully you or make you feel like, you're not delivering on your end of the bargain somehow to get away with something. And it sounds kind of abusive based on what you're saying there. So what I would say is, it's absolutely the employer's prerogative to go out and hire other people. Maybe you could say, let's review our, terms of engagement, right? I agreed to do XYZ for you. if you are doing XYZ for them, then you can basically say, okay, well, what's the deal? I'm agreeing to what our initial thing was, but don't let other people take away your own self-respect, because they might try to do so. And it's more important than this particular gig. That self-respect is more important than this job. And so if you are in an unhealthy situation, never feel like you're trapped, because you can find some better pastures if need be. So that's what I would say to that question. Let's see. Yeah, well, I mean, besides all that as well, with CG Forge, I'm hard at work on a secret project right now. I haven't announced it quite yet, but towards the end of the week, I might do a little soft release of a new feature that I've been hard at working with, that I think might actually take CG Forge to the next level, which is really exciting. Okay, well, I'm not seeing a whole lot else here at the moment, but I do want to thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, if you haven't followed me yet, by the way, on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, and you're interested in doing that, then feel free to go to these links right here, and you can do that. Okay. Well, until next time, you guys, I hope that you have a great week. Take care, and good luck with all of your adventures. See ya.